Good morning everyone, welcome to another episode of my GoPro and ParaLens journey, or at the moment it's just my Vaquita journey as I continue to test the camera, particularly when they release new firmware updates. I really want to see when we'll get this 3-hour battery life. ParaLens have now confirmed to me after all this time that it will be 2 hours at 1080 60 frames per second, which is what I normally test at. And if you want 3 hours, you're going to have to shoot on 1080 30 frames per second, which I guess is going to be okay for most people who go on holidays and stuff, and probably even for tech divers, because they do longer dives, they've got long decompression, they may want a longer run time. But it's a bit disappointing, because if I take you back to the ad that was on Google, it did suggest you get 3.5 hours at 4K, so that was a bit misleading. But anyway, we're starting to get some definite data, so that's a good thing. So you saw last week I put a firmware upgrade video up, and I tested the first firmware upgrade for the battery life. As I was about to upload the video, another firmware came out, so I put that on the video. Guess what? Another firmware's come out the day I uploaded the video. Right, so here on the screen you'll see the latest one, and that's what we're going to test. Now I'm also going to show you how to connect to the Wi-Fi, and the firmware will automatically upgrade, because the instructions on the website are clear but they're confusing because they're not all on one page what you've got to do. So just after this intro we'll just take you how to connect to the Wi-Fi with your Vaquita, and then you should have no problem updating the firmware. I've done it twice via the app now and it's been okay. So we'll just show you how to do that, and then you can see the results of the battery test. Okay, so we're going to update the firmware on our ParaLens using the app, as I had a little bit of trouble doing it through the SD card this time round. So this is where you need to be on the ParaLens website, and it gives you instructions for manual firmware update and then firmware update via the app. If you come down here, you'll see the change logs, how many they've issued, and that's the latest one we want to upgrade to. So the instructions are quite easy to follow. There is one little thing you've got to be aware of, and that's making sure you connect the Vaquita to your mobile phone. Okay, so we've got the Vaquita switched on. We need to go to the ParaLens app. There we are. We need to go to camera. Right, we're going to go to Vaquita. Right, then it gives us some instructions. We've got to go to settings. We've got to switch on start Wi-Fi, and this is where it gets confusing, because you think it would automatically connect, but you've got to connect the Vaquita to, and this is a common mistake people make, so we'll just cancel that. Right, we'll go back there, and then you see now we've got connect on device, and this is where the instructions can be a little bit confusing. So we've got to go there, and then you see Vaquita, we click that. Right, now the camera is connected to the Wi-Fi on the phone. It's not so sure and clear when you look at this screen, as you can see from the instructions, and that confused me a few times in the past. So then back to the app. So here it kind of tells you go to the settings on your device, and for us older people we don't understand that so easy, but as you can see we've done that. So now we just press connect on, and it says go to settings on your device and connect to the ParaLens camera's Wi-Fi. It's got connect on device there. But anyway, we're connected to the phone's Wi-Fi. So when we go connect, you see there we go, and it will at this stage automatically update your firmware. You can't see it now because we did it earlier, but that's all you've got to do, and I've done it twice now and it's worked like a dream. Okay, so you've all seen our tried and trusty testing device, our pole that goes into the dock. We've got a few fish around. We've got a little bait bag on here full of sardines and salmon scraps So we'll see if we get any bigger fish coming in today. Not sure, but we'll check it out. So here's Peter as usual. He'll pull it out after 4 hours and we'll see how long the battery's lasted. This is the 1080 60 FPS test, and tomorrow we'll test at 30 FPS. Okay, so we're back at the dock for the second battery test with the latest firmware update. We've got the resolution set at 1080 and we've got the frames per second set at 30, and at that we should be getting 3 hours battery life according to my contact at Paralens. So there's some fish in the dock. Let's see if we catch anything on camera. Take it away, Peter. And as usual, we'll take this out after 4 hours and determine exactly what battery life we achieved. So there you have it. You know, the firmware is really easy to update now via the app. That's all I'm using the app for at the moment, because I've got into the habit of just downloading from the SD card. In a month or so I may have a play with the app, or I may ask my friend Mateus Levo to have a play with it, because in a couple of weeks time I'm sending him the Vaquita and he's going to put the Vaquita through its paces in cold water in Switzerland and do a review. He's a professional, I'm an amateur, so I think Mateus will do it some justice. As soon as he uploads a video, I will let you all know on that. I have a couple of things I want to do with the Vaquita before I send it to him, so in about 2 weeks time it should be with him. So great, the new firmware, it actually, now we can incorporate the overlay feature into the footage. That just means down in the bottom right hand side of the footage there's 2 pieces of information. You can choose what they are, and I've got a video coming out within the next day or so on that, but typically people put the depth or the temperature, or depth and temperature, but there's a whole host of options which I'll be explaining in the next video. The big disappointment was battery life again. 1.49 hours at 1080 60 FPS, which I work at. Paralens have been in contact and said no, you need to test at 1080 30 FPS, which I did. 2.09 hours. Come on guys, you know, I'm not sitting in a cold country. You're still telling people on your website, see it here, 3.5 hours and insinuating 4K. Come on, this needs to be resolved. You know, you've already told me to expect 2 hours at 1080 60 FPS and 3 hours at 1080 30 FPS, which I've accepted, you know, but it's not there. So please get the battery life situation sorted out. Hope you enjoyed this video. That's all from me for today. We'll see you next time. Hit the subscribe button please, and if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and you know, if you haven't, give it a thumbs down. I've got broad shoulders. I'm trying to improve every time.